Hello and welcome to PreciseAlgorithmTrading.com. It's Tuesday, March 26th, 2024, and let's dive into the markets and look at our automated trading systems first. Our Dow futures, we're in this little ho-hum area right now. It looks like more of a pullback today. 326, yeah, all little losers. And the Russell had more of a pullback today. One stop loss. And the NASDAQ had more of a pullback today. But we had a nice winner in the middle there. So those are all the trades, and it's good to have one offsetting one there. It's all part of the way this thing works. So, but nothing's broke. It's all working the way it's supposed to, really. And yeah, so some volatility probably needs to kick up, and we'll get into some of that here when we look at the regular markets. So here's the S&P 500. This is the futures contract. I'm going to look here. The S&P went down today by 14 points, or 0.28%. The Dow went down 31 points today. It's 39,282, and that's 0.08%, or next to nothing. And you can see the indicators are green. It's still in a bullish uptrend. I'm still calling for 40,000 is going to get hit. I might be wrong. I don't really care. It's not like I'm making any bets on that. The Russell went down 4 points, or 0.19%. And even though that looks bearish because it's red candles, we're in a bullish uptrend, and we have really, I think the impulse wave here that came after this drawdown, and then we've pulled back up. So, and we've come higher than this pivot back here. We haven't really made any substantial time, kept any substantial time above there, but we have been up there for more than just one candle. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. And if you look here on the hourly side, we've got change in polarity that's going on. We had lower highs and lower lows. Now we got higher highs and higher lows, and this time it has spent time above these pivots. We haven't got above this one yet, but this is the type of structure, and everything's kind of green and set to go down here. It's the kind of structure it looks like it's going to take off, but we will see. So the NASDAQ went down 68.7 points, or 0.42%, and it's still all pretty bullish looking. Had a sell-off there at the end of the day. I don't know exactly what that was all about as far as news goes, and don't really care. But you can also see, even on that, we're at the bottom of the channel that we've got drawn in here, the dashed line. It's two average true ranges up and down, and when it gets above, or it gets to one side or the other, they're kind of like the ropes in a boxing ring. They push you back and forth. Sometimes they only go back to the middle before they go back up, but a lot of times they go from one side to the other and then back again. And you can see we're at the one side. So, and you can see all the way up through this move here that it's never been able to get to the bottom. So that's pretty bullish. Alright, that was the NASDAQ. So that was the general markets. The oil went down, down 0.6% today. Still in a really clear bullish uptrend. The oil futures contract, that'll take a second to load here. Yeah, it's still pretty much the same thing, climbing. Down a little bit overnight right now, it doesn't matter. The transports went down 58 points today, and this is actually finally looking like it's setting up possibly for a move higher. I don't remember the last time we looked at the IYT. It had already made an advance, so it's been decoupled from the index itself for a bit. And bonds, let's look at bonds, which have been something you don't want to touch for a while, but this is a impulse wave after a lot of negative. We broke to new highs. That was a pivot. We broke to a new higher, and then we've pulled back here. So anytime now I'm expecting, really, this is like a bull flag, but it's a little bit of a rounded bottom. So I'm not sure it's going to play out, but it sure looks good from here. And we've been oversold on all these indicators, and the hourly is green here, and all we needed to do is to pick up and keep going, and that'll drag this red indicator right here up. So, and let's look at gold, GLD. A little bit of a, sure looks like it's trying to make at least a little intermediate top. So you can see here that this looks like a break of structure to the upside or a change in polarity, but it really wasn't, because we got a quick move up and it didn't stay. It spent no time really up there, came completely right back down again to where that old high was. And so it's supposed to be a combination of time and price above the old pivot, and this really didn't spend any. That's more of a stop hunt. It's like a bunch of people wanting to get in and go long, and this is where the market grabs a hold of them and sells off. It's really common to see that, to get all these people either back out of the market, or have them flip and go bearish, and then all of a sudden maybe this can take off, or this will roll over and just keep everybody. The job of the market is to really try to, it's not good for the bulls and it's not good for the bears unless you have the odds in your favor, and that is a competitive edge, and you have to build that competitive edge or have it given to you. Alrighty, so that's probably enough about the markets. Let's look at the Bitcoin. It's been more bullish here lately, but it sure looks like it's probably putting in a lower high right here. We'll see. And yeah, let's go to I wanted to go ahead and show this. I show this a lot of times on the weekends, but this is I'll call it the big bullish percent index for the New York Stock Exchange. And this is at True Market Insiders, and there's the website. This is not ours. This is a great reference, though, great tool. And the one we look at every day is faster, and I'm not sure exactly what makes up all of the differences between the two, but the point is, this thing, since November 14th, that's when they wrote this up, it did this flip from O's to X's, and ever since then, and since November 15th, it's been moving higher. Not in a straight line, but it's not flipped back to a column of O's. And you can see today, even though we had a sell-off at the end of the day, which I don't think is going to be sustainable, we actually had the bullish percent index rose, the big one, and we're only one box here away. That little box right there. All we need to do is move. We're at 53.01. We need to move 0.99 higher and tag 54, and that'll put in a new X, and then that'll create a point and figure buy signal. Not just a column of X's, but a new point and figure buy signal on this chart. And I think this is really what's been propping up the market this whole time, which is when you have that big sell-off that we're expecting. And I'm here, let's pull up some other indicators. You know, this whole thing's been rising in a channel and then rising in another channel, which eventually these rising channels will break to the downside. When they do, it's going to be pretty rough. But when this thing got to this kind of a zone here and started to just rise when it really was expected to fall, and it's just done all this, I really think you can attribute it to this particular bullish percent index. So and then again, it's something we haven't looked at in a bit, the VIX has been down here low too, and there's, you know, it doesn't have to pick back up and get back up here soon, but eventually it will, and we'll see something like this. But you know, I think the expected move is that this thing's going to break eventually to the downside, so it's just a matter of how long is it going to take, because it's already kind of defied that for a couple months. Alright, so I wanted to show that because I think we're still pretty much on track to do that. And then finally finish this off with the bullish percent indexes. You gotta put this as a point and figure chart and then hit go. The industrials today didn't move. This is the NYA, and it's different than the one we were just looking at. This one's at 66 and the other one's at 54, so it's just a different makeup. I'm not, again, you could research that if you want to. I've never taken the time because it really doesn't matter. I watch them both, and I think they give different information, and I think when they're working together, that's a strong indication. The transports didn't move. The NASDAQ went up just a little bit, 0.08%. The S&P 500 went down 0.54%. The S&P 100 went down 1.35%. And the NASDAQ 100 went down 3.33%. So anything's possible, but I think I just laid out the relatively bullish case. So, and even if it doesn't play out that way, I guess there's another thing to keep in mind. If this thing eventually turns and it turns ugly, you know, we've got stops in place. We have our risk management managed, and that's the name of the game. Another issue that, you know, probably ought to talk about is on any given candle. I'll go pull it up here. On the S&P 500, for let's say, so like every one of these candles has a range to it from high to low, and then you have little ones and you have big ones, and then you have an average range of what they are. Well, to expect, I mean, between these two candles here, which was a gap back here, you know, you had 45, call it 15 or 20, down to 44.13. So that's like 100 points, which is pretty significant in this thing. But most of the time, you know, your range it's really tight, and the point is that you really can't expect this to move too far outside of its average range. So even on a bad day, we're going to have to put a series of bad days together even to get back down to this channel line eventually. So I don't know if that explained it to you, but like literally every day, when we have stops in place that are just two average true ranges under the price, which is generally what we're at, and this is not a good example per se, but let's put in ACM. You know, our stop is down here actually in this range. I guess it's right there. we're expecting this, even if it moves in an average true range here, to come down only about this far. So that would be kind of an expectation, and then your stop's way down here. And sure, you have to take that risk, but like this position happens to be in money right now, so I won't take much more risk if it starts to go against us hard, because I want to keep my profit. And that's really the bottom line. Start managing your risk and try to keep your money and don't lose money. So I'll leave you at that for tonight, because I think those are all good lessons. Take care, guys. Good trading and have a great night.